This is a review of Monsters in My Room, Season 2, Episode 12 of Tales from the Darkside, on our journey to review every single episode of Tales from the Darkside, and this one features Seth Green, guy who created Robot Chicken, was in Austin Powers, the TV movie It. Believe it or not, this is not his first role. He was born in 1974, but he started very young, acting at the age of 6, at least in movies. I believe he was in commercials before that. So yeah, you could say this guy has had a pretty long and illustrious career, and is one of the few child actors it seems like he didn't go completely crazy. And in this episode, it actually lives up to his name. Seth Green plays the character Timmy, boy of around 10 years old, who sees monsters in his room. And they do a good job with this one because they have many different monsters. It's not just one that stalks him. You'll see this saw that comes in and out, trying to cut him in half. There'll be these tentacles that will come up from under his bed. His stuffed animals will start coming alive, and of course there's an actual guy monster in his closet. We see a witch later too. This is what more episodes should do. Just throw a bunch of monsters at once, because the viewer will like some of them. Personally, I like the touch of the saw. You have this saw that comes in and out, seemingly out of nowhere towards his bed, and then just goes back and forth, blocking his exit. And it looks like they reuse the witch from episode 0, Trick or Treat. They at least look very similar. So Timmy is living with his stepfather, Biff, and his mother, Helen. His mother, Helen, is nice, cares about him, and gives him good Christmas presents. Biff, on the other hand, starts out the episode being okay, but then gets worse as the episode goes on. He's an alcoholic, and he thinks his son Timmy is a loser. Well, actually a pussy. He thinks he's a wimp, and he's going to turn him into a real man. He gives him a fake gun for Christmas. And kind of a funny scene, and Timmy plays with it for a little bit, but then he gets what he really wants. A big stuffed animal bear. And you can just see Biff roll his eyes in the background like, oh man, what am I going to do with this kid? I'm trying to give him an actual gun to play with, and he's just going to kiss this bear.
Cuddle stuffed panda bear! Oh wow, this is great, Mom! Oh wow!
He tells him he's going to take him to a sports game, but Timmy doesn't seem interested. He just wants to play on the piano. And then he really tries to turn him into a man by giving him a beer. That'll make him a real man. Make him drink a beer. But of course, he's like 10, so he hates it.
Like songs, huh, kid? Aye. Hey, listen, I'm gonna make a man out of you. Yeah, here, come on, try this. Try it.
It's gross.
You bet it's gross. It's beer, kid. It's beer. Here's a beer drinking song for you, too. Sailor, what do you do with a drunken sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor early in the morning?
I'm in my 30s and I still don't really like the taste of beer. Wine's okay, unless you get the high quality ones, or you're at a bar. But Biff does not give him a high quality beer. He gives him a warm, cheap, what looks to be a natty light. And of course, Timmy doesn't like it. So they lead you to believe that Timmy is making this stuff up. He tells his parents there's these monsters in his room, these tentacles that are trying to get him. Of course they don't believe him, and every time they come into the room, they don't see the monsters. But I like what they do with this episode. You can interpret it two ways, whether the monsters are real or not. But they do make it clear at the end, at least to the viewer, that these monsters actually really do come alive, and they end up killing his stepfather, Biff. Specifically, the witch comes out and shoves his head to the ground, killing him. And we see a funeral scene where they say that he died of a heart attack. So you can interpret it that he died of a heart attack and Timmy made up these monsters, or the monsters actually did kill him. I kind of like the more straightforward interpretation. Let's just say the monsters actually do exist and they really did kill him. It's also an allegory for the stepfather being the monster, especially when he can't accept his kid as the way that he is and keeps getting more and more angry at him. He also, when he sneaks into his room the last time, he brings a ping pong paddle to paddle him with, but never gets to it because the witch kills him before he's able to beat Timmy with his ping pong paddle. So overall, I think Monsters in My Room is a really good episode. I'm going to give it a high 8. We are back on track after some really lackluster episodes. While it has some sort of scary moments, I think the witch is really well done. It does seem like the writer is coming up with monsters that a 10-year-old boy would think of. And when you're a kid, this happened to me too, sometimes you will see things in your room that you think come alive, especially stuffed animals or stuff like that. That will kind of scare you. You'll see something in the distance, you'll think it's a monster or something, and no, it's just a stuffed animal. It's just a picture that's hanging a little sideways. So that's what happens here. He looks into the distance, sees some stuffed animals that come alive. So we're looking at this from his perspective and the things that would scare him that are in his room, with the exception of the saw. I don't know where the saw comes from. Maybe it was in the shed. So that's Monsters in My Room. This one's directed by James Stephen Sadwith, who also directed the episode we covered in Season 1, Episode 4, The Odds. He directs some episodes of the TV show Sinatra, Gun, and recently the movie Coming Through the Rye, about a kid who's obsessed with Holden Caulfield. Got good reviews, but bombed at the box office, so his directing days might be over. But this episode is good, so is The Odds. Next up is episode 13, Comet Watch, about a group that follows Halley's Comet through a telescope. And it's written by Jules Selbo, so get ready to laugh, or bang your head against the wall, or do both at the same time. Check out our playlist for all episodes of Fear Itself, Monsters, Tales of the Darkside, and Cowboy Bebop in order. Thanks a lot.